For you guys that are new to the channel, a long time ago when we first started doing walkarounds, we did a walkaround of this 60 series when it was in its bare bones. This Brent's car, Brent's the organiser of the drought run that we go on annually, the long drive for drought. And this car took part in the drought run last year that I was on in the convoy with this 60 series. Now, Brent's decided to give it a birthday this year, and it's got to be ready for this year's drought run at the end of August. So there's some time constraints here. The heat's on, so we've got to get working on this, and we've got a list of stuff to do now. This is a second month 85 HJ60, and it's an automatic as well. So not only is it a bit of a slug of a 2H, it's also a little added extra of being even more of a slug with an auto behind it. But it drives absolutely beautiful, this thing. But it's old. The suspension's a bit sagging in it. We've got the alternator's not quite charging. It didn't quite keep up with the fridge last year in the drought run. So we're upgrading the alternator in this one. We're going to be doing some mechanical work. We're going to be putting a 2-inch lift underneath it, terrain tamer suspension. And also, we're going to be getting rid of this bull bar and putting what everybody wants these days, which is the factory bar, which loads of people have just thrown away in the bin, and now they're worth an absolute fortune. But it's also having paint. Now this thing is not just straightforward. Brent was like, oh, can we just do a shut door, just do it up to the shuts, make it look pretty? It's not that simple. We've been to see our painter, and he's straight away, you see this crazy paving look in the paint. Now, it must have been the apprentice's first day back at the factory in Japan when they painted this one, because you can actually see the factory primer underneath. So it's been on there a long time, but it's just reacted to the harsh sun, harsh Australian conditions, and this crazy paving's happened all over the vehicle. So you can't just rub this back and paint it. That crazy paving will come straight back through within a year or two. So it needs to be blasted. So, but we're not going to do it. It's not going to be a ground up cab off or anything like that. It's going to be blasted up to the shuts, so up to the seals where the door shuts, and get rid of this crazy paving. Get it back to a surface that can take the paint, and it's going to hold and it'll last as long as it can do on this. Now, there is also some bog in the roof, and that blasting will also expose all of that. Make sure we get all the rust in this thing so it doesn't come back through. So I think it's time to get stuck into this. We're going to get the boys to get the bull bar off, and let's get it down to the paint shop as soon as possible. Right, update time on the HJ60. This is very cool. So this has been to Glen at Northside Blast Coat, and it's been blasted right over the top of it. All that crazy paving, that cracking in the paint's all gone now. It's all come back to bare metal, and it's been primed in this is a epoxy primer, so this can be outside now, and it's not porous like etch primer is, so it holds, it protects the surface much better than the old etch primer, and they can work with this. And it's great because, just show you here, the blasting really does show up what stuff that you couldn't see any of this stuff. It had been bogged up before, and up the front there, but really you can see how much of a good blank canvas this 60 is for to go moving forward. You know what I mean? There's a few repairs to do. The hood lining's got to come out of this because they got to do some work up on the gutters there. But honestly, I'm stoked. Really cool to see it at this stage and see it develop from here. Next time we see this car, the windows and everything will be back in it, and it will be painted and all nice and beautiful. So until then. Right, so we're down here at Northside Tinting Services. Now, last time you saw this vehicle, it was down at the paint shop. They just had it sent away for blasting, and it had been epoxy primed. There was a fair amount of rust in this thing, which has all now been cut out, and as you can see behind me, has been painted the original white that is on the build plate on this one. It's come up an absolute treat. It's a bit dusty at the moment, but that's all good because it's going to go away for a detail before it goes back to the customer. But Bear at Northside Tinting Services has done a fantastic job on this. This is the darkest legal tint you can have in Queensland, and it's come a good treat. A real good contrast between the white and the darker windows, I think. Now this will cut out heaps of sunlight in there. We all know that 60 series don't have the best air conditioning systems in the world, so this tint will definitely help keep it cool inside this vehicle. So I think what we should do now is get it back to the yard. We've got a few more things to just, a few little trims on the end of the bumper bar. We've got the rear bar to go on it, and a kick down cable. So thanks Bear at Northside Tinting Services. He does all our tinting. Right, we're down here at Turner's Paint Correction and Detailing. This is where all our vehicles at Mr Landcruiser come, whether it be mine and Paul's before the show, or when we restore cars, they always come down here to have their last little tickle, so they are in tip-top condition when the customer comes to pick them up. Craig's done his magic again on this one, so we've got paint correction, we've got ceramic sealers on this one. He's also taken some of the orange peel out the paint, and it's come up real good. Last time we saw this, we were down with Bear at Northside Tinting, and he's done a fantastic job with the tinting of the windows. Now, something else has happened since then, which you probably recognise behind me. We've got these decals on. Now, these are, I really like these ones, especially on the white paint. It's really set this vehicle off. I really like this return pinstripe along the bottom. It really goes well with the vehicle. And this also goes right down the back of the vehicle, and the decals wrap round the back tailgate as well. So comes right round, you can see them. It's really good with the tint, with the paint and the decals and everything else that's gone on this vehicle. It really is popping. And we've been for a drive in this one, and literally it turns heads. You've got people waving at you. It really is one of a kind. It's awesome. So now, if you remember right at the start of when this vehicle first came to Mr Landcruiser, we had a big old aluminium TJM bull bar up the front there that was pretty ugly, to be honest. We had the crazy paving paintwork, the suspension had sagged on it. It just looked tired and old, and it's come such a long way. We've now got a factory style bumper up the front there. That's been painted metallic grey. We've got brand new genuine bumper ends there that we sell at Mr Landcruiser. We've managed to get hold of the original genuine chrome coach bolts as well that go on the front bar. It's very cool. And the rear of the vehicle, we've got the same, so painted in the same metallic grey are the two outer bumper bits. Now, we didn't have any, his were all right actually, his bumper ends are okay, so we've managed to reuse those, but the centre step was in quite bad condition. All of it was in quite bad condition. There was a fair bit of work went into that rear bar, but the centre bit where you step up, he's blasted it back, painted it. It was damaged, and we've decided to go with Glenn down at Northside Blast Coat, where he's treated it properly, and we've also coated it in a really thick layer of Line-X. So that's protected for the future, and it also hides a few sins that's going on underneath there, because the 60s, probably more than the 40s, are really getting hard to find these bits, to get them back to their original state, original form. So, but moving on from there, the paint. Remember, we had this thing. This is a body on shut, a little bit more than just a shut door. The doors were off. The rear tailgates have been off and painted, but it was just blasted, what you can see here, and epoxy primed. All the rust has been cut out of this. There is no rust left in this vehicle whatsoever. Have you noticed when we open the bonnet that this in the engine bay, it hasn't been done in there. The engine hasn't been out or anything like that. And there are different levels of shut door or rotisserie, or how far you go with these things, but this has come up really nice. So they call it a shut door. There's a shut door paint job where the doors are shut and it gets painted like that, but then there's a shut door where it goes up to the shuts, up to the seals in here, and that's what's happened here. We've gone right up in there where this pinch weld is. We'll go inside in a minute and check that out. Now, there's a few, you wouldn't believe it, it's finally happened. There are kits for 60s for the weather strips. Now, we've got a few of the new weather strips on this vehicle. If you go onto the Mr Landcruiser website, you'll see that there are 60 series weather strip kits. Now, they're not complete. They're about 90% complete for 60s now. There are lots of variations, but if you go on there, check it out. and order your weather strips for you guys doing the restos. Now this thing was tired, it was sagging in the suspension, and there was crazy paving in the paint, the bull bar was rubbish, all that kind of stuff. We've done loads of mechanical to this. It's not just what you see here, the shiny bits. Underneath we've got new suspension, we've done a service on the gearbox, we've got new kick down cables, the throttle was really sticky. So we've been right through this, right underneath where you can't see, to get this thing tip-top mechanical as well. So it drives, me and Paul have both been for a drive in this one, and compared to what it used to be, it's absolutely awesome. So let's go inside and check this interior out, because Turners have done an awesome job in there. Honestly, you really wouldn't believe this vehicle was from 1985. Just look at it, it's so clean. The only damage I can see is where they always crack in this front fascia here, around the heater controls, but you know, it's in perfect condition. Underneath the dash pad, there's not one crack in that dash. We've just got an old Pioneer CD radio in the front here. Got some 60 series cup holders down here that we sell at Mr Landcruiser. But it just doesn't take away from its originality in here. Just check the carpets out. You know, there's a bit of wear there, but you know, you got to expect it for a vehicle of this age. Check these seats out. Look, they are ridgy-digi from their day, and there's hardly any marks on them whatsoever. Check out the door cards, man. Look at these. You wouldn't believe this vehicle has done 511,000 Ks, honestly. Now, Brent wanted this done properly with all the body repairs. There was some damage in the gutters from the rust. We all know the 60 series rust up there, but to do that properly, welding and hot work needs to go on up there. So that means the hood lining's got to come down in order not to catch fire to anything while you're doing the big repairs along the sides there, because as some of you guys will know, there's like 3 layers of material up there. You can't stop, and there are holes in it. You can't stop the welding debris going through and catching fire to the sound deadening that's up there. So we've got a brand new hood lining above my head, and in the back there's nothing much going on there at the moment. There's a fridge slide in the back there that's going to have stuff put in there, because Brent is definitely going to be using this for what it is built for. But you know, there's not much to talk about. It's just an absolutely beautiful interior. So, spoke a little bit about under the bonnet, but there's nothing going on under there to write home about really, apart from a really simple dual battery system. Now this is the old 2H with some headers on it, and behind it is the automatic gearbox. So this thing doesn't break any land speed records, that's for sure, but it is an absolute pleasure to drive. So future plans, I know there's a bit of a setup to go in the back of this thing for doing a bit of touring. I know Brent is booked to go on holiday tomorrow, and he's taken this freshly painted car with all this new mechanical work done on it straight on the beach, and I respect a man that does that. This is Brent's vehicle, he can do what he wants with it. It might make a few people have a little cry out there, but who gives a damn? Brent's car, he does what he wants with it. This thing will be back at Mr Landcruiser. I can't wait to see it again. It's been an absolute pleasure to be involved with this build. Can't wait to see Brent's face when he picks it up. 3rd month, 1985, automatic HJ60.